Next question is, going forward, what challenges do you think the college will face, and what solutions would you propose to address those changes? We'll start with Catherine.
Thank you. Well, certainly one of the biggest challenges is financial. Many candidates have touched on that today. CLC has approximately this year $102 million budget. If my stats serve me in my head, there's about a 20% cut in funds from the state of Illinois this year, yet you did not see a commensurate 20% cut in programming here at CLC. That tells me that your staff, administration, and board are working together very closely to engage in cost containment in order to serve the student population well without having to reduce programming. That can't go on forever. It can't at our local high schools, and it certainly can't at the College of Lake County. So the next piece is really having a voice in Springfield, having a voice in Washington, being creative and creating community partnerships, working with some of our businesses here in Lake County. Lake County itself is one of the greatest assets, in my opinion, for CLC because Lake County is committed to education at all levels. Lake County already embraces the College of Lake County. We've mentioned the CLC Promise. You probably are familiar with the Lake County Promise, which is a group of engaged citizens, business partners, educators, politicians coming together to assure that Lake County remains strong and vibrant in the future. I mention that because it's a good example of people working together to strengthen local schools. That sort of model is what we need to engage in a little bit more deeply as we move forward for Lake County. So lobbying at the state level, lobbying at the federal level, continuing on cost containment, but also creatively engaging in partnerships with local businesses to expand our programming.
I think you're probably going to hear the same theme from a lot of us, but the state budget crisis is obviously a huge issue, right? And it's not just the fact that we don't have a budget, but it's the fact that even our own tax base, year after year, we're having to look at it, decrease it by, like this year, 2.5%, right? If we start to continue to decrease it, we need to start to really understand where we're going with this different programming. I know in my job, working for the health department as a clinical operations director, we're also restricted by state budget issues, and every day we have to discuss what if, right? We always have to look at what if and have that plan available and understand what we'll do. I know there's been, because of the state budget issues, there's been many organizations that have had to shut down essential services, but I know the Lake County College has been able to continue on, as well as our health department. But again, this may not always be the case if the current crisis continues, but we have to really be able to plan for that impact, know what's going to happen, and have that risk mitigation process in place. Besides marketing and looking at what are the things that we can have our community do in terms of if we're giving back to the business leaders in the community and the large businesses that are in this area, like Baxter, like some of the other groups, what can they do to help contribute to that education that will be able to fund or be able to support their own businesses? We need to make sure we look at key programming too as well in the college to make sure that we are providing a quality education, understanding what are the key programming, what is our strategic goals, and where do we need to look at either combining efforts, programs, classes, whatever it is that we need to do in this state budget crisis. But it's important that we continue to provide quality education across the board, but understand the impact that budget is having within our neighborhoods.
I talked about different sources of income with regards to collapsing other units of government. One of the things that I think we could do here at the College of Lake County is fold up the marketing budget and do a team teaching program where we would take people from marketing, business, web development, etc., and use our students to develop the marketing program as part of the team teaching. There are some colleges now that have a multidisciplinary approach. And so by targeting students in their freshman year and say, here's an opportunity for your sophomore year to develop a marketing plan for the College of Lake County. And that would roll out in the spring, like right now for the second year students or third year students. We could save maybe $600,000 a year. I think we could take a look at speaking programs if we have to work with the Regional Office of Education, which I think there's a great opportunity that's missed there from that office, to go back in and do marketing one-on-one to the senior class and the junior class also with parents at the same time at the colleges. I mean, at the high schools. If you've got 18 or 19 of these, to have student and parent night, we can save a lot of dollars with regards to publishing costs. So we would then use our students in team teaching arrangement to develop portfolio things that when they leave here, that they can take with them as a bona fide project, and we can use that in our own community.
So as mentioned, regarding the funding, for me, you don't want the lack of funding to threaten the quality of programming. That shouldn't be something that we're concerned about, the quality of program, because of lack of funding. So, our job is to make sure that we're very resourceful, that we have our eyes open, that we know what's available that's out there. And I believe one of the candidates mentioned about partnership. I'm a big fan of partnering with other institutions and other organizations to leverage resources. But not only resources, I believe that the greatest resource that the college could ever invest in are the people. The people make up the college, the students, the staff members. How can we retain quality staff members if a grant goes away? How do we look within the institutional budget to ensure that individuals are retained or reallocated to ensure that we keep them here because they're adding value to the institution versus eliminating positions? So that would be something I would be greatly interested in. In addition, I know that us making education possible. I believe that the Promise program is an awesome program, but it's a program that is targeted for traditional students who completed high school on time. I know that the Foundation Office issued out last year almost $1 million in scholarship funding for students, but I'm concerned about the Promise for the students who haven't completed high school on time, the Promise for the students who completed their GED, and that was almost as equivalent to completing high school on time. Where is their promise? So as a trustee, I would want to make sure that we really target individuals who don't meet that traditional blueprint and say, where's our funding, scholarship funding for them? How can we increase scholarship fundraising so we can make sure that select groups are served and education does become possible?
Carlos, can I have that question one more time? I want to
Sure.
make sure I'm directly.
Going forward, what challenges do you think the college will face, and what solutions would you propose to address those challenges?
Well, obviously state finances, and I've already talked about partnerships with companies and endowed faculty positions, private fundraising, and naming. Matthew, sorry you don't like naming, but we do have the James Lumber Center, which is named, and I just think that some of the other large buildings, the science buildings and the Lakeshore campus buildings like those, you get a company name on it, it could give us some extra money that I think could go far to help students. Challenges right now is that students coming in from the high schools that aren't prepared for college work end up in basic English and basic math. It's double hit against them, and it takes them a long time to get the math and the English that they need in order to continue on to get a good education. And I know right now Dr. Weber's working with many high school principals looking at that problem so there can be some communication with the high schools of this is what the students need to be prepared. They need to have this English level and this mathematic level to come in and be ready and be successful in the community college. Otherwise, they just get, they keep on taking their basics and many of them don't continue on, and we don't want to see that happen. So that's a challenge. Another challenge is the soaring costs of textbooks. I saw students as a recruiter and as an administrator struggling to get their tuition paid so they wouldn't get dropped from their classes. And so classes would start and then they wouldn't have money to buy their textbooks. Textbooks are ridiculously priced. So administration and the faculty, they have to come together and talk about this problem for students. There's open educational resources, and I know Martha Lally in psychology, she was doing her classes this past semester trying to use just open educational resources so the students would have free resources rather than having to buy a textbook. And then they did a little study and they found out that using this open educational resources, the students were just as effective as having textbooks. So why can't we look more into that? Or there's all sorts of tools out there right now and apps that students can use to find where there are cheaper textbooks. So I think that that's a challenge for our students, and I think it's a challenge that we can successfully conquer. There just has to be a conversation about that. I think also, and Michelle hit a little bit upon it, about colleges tightening their belts. And I think as positions leave the college, they're not being filled, and I understand why, because the budget of the college, over, I think, 75–80% is its employee salaries and benefits. So that is where the majority of the college's budget goes. So as the state is not giving us their $8 million constitutional obligation of funding, the college is funding programs from their own reserve funds, and that's not going to last forever. So you have to tighten the belts. My concern with tightening the belt is when full-time faculty positions leave and they're not filling those positions and filling them instead with adjunct faculty, because I think that full-time faculty here on campus are here to teach students and are here to meet with students, and I think that the quality of education goes down if the ratio of full-time versus adjunct faculty is going to continue to increase. I think that's a challenge, and that has to be looked at. Another challenge that I see going on is the website. Now, all you little millennials out there, you get on the computer, boom, 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 boom. I'm enrolled in my classes. But I can't tell you how many times I have had residents come up to me and say, they're financial advisors, they have doctorates, they have masters, and they're coming to me because I can't figure out how I can enroll in classes and enroll and get my application in and enroll in classes. Now, you get money from the state if the more enrollment. So let's increase enrollment. And a simple way to do that is to make the online enrollment process easier for people to do. Now, I was here when they were doing the whole new branding and doing the online community. Believe me, it is so much improved right now than it used to be, but a lot has to be done to get the online process more user-friendly for our residents so they can enroll in classes. So those are my concerns, and if I was elected, I would make sure that these problems are solved. Thank you.
Well, I think I've already talked at length about, I think we all have about the state budget and, only getting 2% from the federal government. The only thing I think I can add that hasn't already been stated is the debt of the college. CLC has invested a significant amount of money to increase programming and expand the services that it provides. But if you look back at 2007, there was $17 million debt, and in 2016 there was $71 million of debt. If we were to save a little bit and then spend on the programming, we wouldn't be paying, we wouldn't be giving so much of so many taxpayer dollars to the banks. I think a real focus needs to be on eliminating this debt, and the challenge is going to be figuring out the revenue sources. Lobbying is going to be key. Getting funding outside of Lake County to help support the school and the students and the communities is going to be key. Setting the budget will continue to be a difficult task. The turnaround agenda, there's a lot in there that we really haven't addressed, but can have a very negative impact on education in general, which would also include CLC. For example, property tax freezes. I'm not saying I disagree with that, but if there's no money from the state, where does it come from? We've got corporations, and there's been a lot of subsidies given to corporations. Look into being a little persuasive in terms of asking them to give back to the community. Some of those subsidies include not paying property taxes, which increases the burden on the resident. And then, yes, attracting and maintaining quality faculty. Yes, it is a large part of the budget, but that's what the service is education. And staying ahead of the technology curve, that is a challenge because it is changing so quickly.
What can I add to, certainly there's issues of funding and teacher quality of education. I think that I see the college as like a family. You have to hold all the interests together. Everybody who has an allied goal in this, administrators, teachers, and students. I think what you want in a trustee is temperament is important. I think you're looking for somebody who's sober-minded, sound judgment, analytical skills that are looking at long-term vision, philosophy of the school, and that we're not going to be shooting from our hips. We're not legislators, we're trustees. And so it is important to know what the values are, what those long-term values are. And if I was an administrator or teacher or a student, I'd want to know, how do you see the students? How do you see the teachers in this? I'm pleased that what I've heard here is from everybody is the value given to full-time professional professors and teachers. I ascribe to that as well. The only other thing I'd add is that I think that we can do a better job marketing and branding the school. It seems to me that College of Lake County is one of those people, and we all know someone like that, who is so wonderful, and they've got such a great background, but they're not the best ones at telling you what it is. So I think we could get better at making that known. And just the point on naming rights, something within reason, sure. I'm just sensitive that often in our times, our current political times, where there's such a push for privatization, that we avoid a mindset of ever wanting to sell off our assets.
Thank you very much.